Sunshine, blue skies. Gotta cry.
Iburu, Iboya, Ibuche, everybody in Cyberland. It's your favorite Babalao. At least I hope so. Omodum, Odile que coming at you. But before we begin everything, we want to get into a habit of Moyumba Lodomari, Moyumba Tio Wo, Moyumba Tiwo, Moyumba Ileo Gerede, Moyumba Walofi, Moyumba Walode, Moyumba Rawo, Moyumba Shupo, Moyumba Remonio Kotum, Moyumba Remonio Kosi, Moyumba Ekoko, you better. Okay, we always give thanks to God first, all the elemental powers, all the celestial beings, all the orishas, more importantly, my farafun, to my batori, Shango, and Eshu. Let's get in, right? But like I always like to tell you, each and every time, I need your support. So please continue to give me the like, the subscribe, and let's jump in. 1, disclaimer. 1, I am not perfect, right? And I can only tell you things based off my philosophical views. 1. 2, I am human. What does that mean? That I am going to be prone to error. Okay, 3, I will always strive to be a better person every day. Why? Because I know I'm flawed. Why? Because I'm human. And why is that even more important for me is because I am an awo niorumila, known as a babalao. Right? So I have signed a digital or spiritual contract, right, that I truly need to embody. And I understand those responsibilities, right? And you can ask my wife. My wife will tell you he is not perfect by no means, right? But I say that because I need you to look at me, right? No different than you look at yourself in the mirror. None of us are perfect. Our egos need to go out the window. We need to use our head more than we need to use our emotions. The head guides the body. The ears need to listen before the mouth can talk. Hear so that you can understand, so that you can speak. Because knowledge and understanding is what gives us the wisdom. And a lot of times the wisdom is the attentive ear. So with that said, I say this because in today's video, I want to share a perspective on the concept of Iwa, right? Conduct, and Ifa. And I think that's a very important concept to share with everyone, which is why I tell you, I'll be the first one to say, I'm not perfect, right? I have to humble myself. Everyone is important, but we all need to conduct ourselves. How? That's what we're going to get into. Okay, guys? So again, like, share, boom. Let's get it in. So when we talk about Ifa and Iwa, we talk about Ifa and the conduct. The conduct could be anything. And what a lot of people don't realize is that we see things from the lens of humans. Why? Because ROD came down. Here we are. We're grown now, or we're getting there, or we're getting older. And we see life as we walked this earth, as we grew up, as we were influenced, as we had environmental changes in our lives. People got married, people died near us. We had children, whatever that looks like, traumas, all those things begin to define and build how you walk, how you talk, how you act, your conduct. So I'm here to tell you that Ifa and Iwa, they share the responsibilities of telling you how to walk, how to talk. And I think it's very important to understand that when we talk about Ifa and Iwa, we talk about the human perspective, but there's also a perspective of Iwa, of conduct, that we need to see in everything in life. So, what I want to do is I want you each to take a moment to understand the concept of conduct, not only for a human, but a conduct of the elemental powers. What is the conduct of a wind? What is the conduct of water? What is the conduct of fire, electricity? What are the conduct of your human body in outer space? What's the conduct of your human body when you go 14,000 feet up in the air? What is the conduct when your plane takes off and you hit a certain altitude and your ears pop, and the why? Understanding that begins to tell you that everything has a certain level of conduct that needs to happen, right? So we're going to focus, and that's just a general overview, but we're going to begin to focus on the conduct. But before we begin, we're going to talk about a Pataki in order to get our brains in the right place. How's that? So, the Pataki I want to share is a Pataki that comes out of one of the old dudes that I heard from long ago from one of my elders. Forgive me that I don't actually have the old dude, but I think it's value added in this topic that we're going to talk about today. The Pataki has to do with the elephant in Orumila, in Eshu, in the market. Okay, so the first character in this Pataki, okay, that I want you to understand is Orumila. Orumila in this Pataki finds himself in a very tough position. He works very hard and he's very selfless in order to give back to mankind, in order to provide wisdom, in order to allow people and guide them through their destiny, in order for things to be accomplished in the name of Olodumare. So when we say that, Orumila in this Pataki finds himself in a rough spot. He's poor as dirt. Man, he opens up his wallet or his pants or whatever he's carrying his oval in. At that point, it was shells that kind of represented wealth and money. The dust and the moths came out of there. But he was so poor that he decided to consult Ifa and figure out what he can do in order to build his prosperity, in order for him to continue to do his God's work at the end of the day, right? So he consults Ifa, and Ifa gives him an Ebo. The Ebo long list of things that need to happen in order for him to be successful and be prosperous. So he finds himself in a dilemma. He begins to scrap everything he has, anything he owns, in order to trade and get everything that he needs in order to do his Ebo. Now, while he's on his way to the marketplace, he runs into Eshu. While he runs into Eshu, he also notices an elephant. Okay, we have the characters of our story now. Orumila, Ifa, of course, because Orumila consults Ifa. Eshu, the elephant. Fair enough. So let's analyze from this point of view before we go on with the Pataki. Let's analyze Orumila's conduct. Orumila uses his wisdom and his mind to understand that he is in a very bad situation. He is not going out. He's not robbing nobody. He's not going crazy. He's not getting emotional. He's following good conduct, knowledge, understanding, and wisdom that Ifa will always give him a solution, as long as he's walking upright the way he should be. And in this scenario, he is doing that very thing. Ifa gives him a solution. He does everything in his power to make sure he meets that solution. A lot of people don't realize that that is the first step to good conduct. Understand what the barriers look like so you get your consultation. Understanding what is the prescription, because I tell people all the time, a consultation and also that is no different than you going to the doctor and the doctor hands you a prescription and says, hey, go fill this out, go take 2 and call me in the morning, right? No different. But now you're getting spiritual medicine and spiritual advice. No different than a doctor gives you medical advice and medical medicine. So, Orumila does his part. His conduct right now is upright. So as he goes on his journey to meet the concepts of that Ebo and get all the ingredients that he needs, he has to go to the marketplace. And as he travels to that marketplace, he stumbles upon a rock. And that rock is hard and it hits him hard. And he stumbles, he falls. But that rock we begin to kind of see in this Pataki is Eshu. And Eshu, because he has the power of transformation, transformed to a rock, causing Orumila to trip and fall and hurt himself. Now, let's take a pause there. Orumila, at this point, is now fallen and hurt himself. Eshu is monitoring the conduct of Orumila in order to understand and better help Orumila through his process. Why? Because now we got to look at the conduct of this energy that we call Eshu. And who is Eshu? Eshu is the enforcer. And I've spoken on Eshu a few times now, but Eshu is that enforcer that makes sure that evolution occurs, that the big plan that Olodumare has constructed continues to play itself out. And we find Eshu being that role, right? The role of opportunity, unlocks the doors, and you begin to kind of see that path opener that Eshu is. Why? Because Eshu manipulates the situations in order to make things go. So, in this story now, Orumila's hurt. Eshu transforms back from a rock to a person, right? Or as he's recognized as Eshu, right? He's not in disguise. And he yells at all the marketplace people, oh my gosh, Orumila has fell and hurt himself. And if we are not careful and we do not take care of Orumila, that we're gonna find ourselves cursed, and all businesses are gonna fall and crumble. That we need to please him, and we need to make him happy. And Orumila saying this, or I'm sorry, Eshu saying this to all the marketplace people, everybody freaks out. It's Eshu. Eshu is not gonna lie. Eshu said, hey, we gotta go do. And Eshu wasn't lying, right? Because let's analyze even that statement. Orumila has always been one that has been selfless, not selfish. And because of his actions, he was able to consult Ifa, get a result, and actually get Eshu on his side, because Eshu knows that Orumila is pushing the envelope forward. Orumila is moving mankind and the earth and the celestial beings. Orumila is part of that energy pack, right? That's why we call him the witness to creation. So Eshu helps this process out a little bit so Orumila can get what he needs so he can get back to work. The enforcer is enforcing and pushing things in this direction. So that's what Eshu's doing. So Eshu helps Orumila. And now you have all the marketplace people and owners and businesses and everyone. They're just showering Orumila after he gets up. Are you okay? They're dusting him up. Hey, you know what? Here's some cloths from my stand. Please, don't curse us. Please don't be mad. I hope you feel better. Maybe this will come for you. Here's a fish, and here's grains, and here's fruits, and here's animals, and this, that, and the other. Next thing you know, Orumila has everything he needs, not only for the Ebo, but for the things he needs for his home. He does the Ebo, and as he does the Ebo, he now continues to prosper. Okay, so we begin to see that now Orumila's character and his conduct was do the Ebo. He does the Ebo, and good for Orumila, right? And now he has completed that full circle of also de to prescription to gathering the material, doing the ebo, and now the circle is complete, right? So now we find ourselves even going one step further now, right? Orumila did his part. Orumila is going to be successful. Orumila is taking the medicine. Great. But now the story is not over because we look at another character called the elephant. And we notice that the elephant sees how this is all playing out. And he notices Orumila trips, falls, gets hurt. And now everyone showers him, right, with gifts and, maybe some money and clothes and animals and whatnot. So the elephant mimics and imitates the same actions Orumila went through in order to see if he can get the same results. The elephant is the elephant. So he trips, he falls, and you can imagine an elephant just tipping over and falling, boom, right? But this time, Eshu, seeing everything play out, now yells at all the market people. But this time he's telling people, imposter, 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 and begins to let everyone know what the elephant was up to. And in this case, telling everyone if they don't take care of this problem of someone imitating and someone not conducting themselves the way they should be conducting themselves, that they should not be there and they should be removed. So think about it. Now all the business people are wondering and they're like, oh my gosh, we can't have this. So at this point now the elephant is slaughtered in the story, killed. Okay. So we analyze the Pataki in order to get some of the deeper meanings of things. And we begin to see that, Eshu did his piece, Orumila did his piece, and then the elephant did his. In this Pataki, we talk about the Iwa Iwa Pele, good conduct, whatnot. And then we look at the conduct of the elephant, which we talk about Ire Buruku. Iwa Buruku. And we begin to kind of analyze, okay, what did the elephant do wrong, right? And why was that so critical? The issue, even had to jump in there and say, whoa, 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 whoa. And it's because each and every one of us have a destined path to walk. Each and every one of us are going to make our own mistakes, but each and every one of them has to make our own mistakes, and we have to walk our own path. We cannot walk in the shoes of others, because that's very dangerous. We can't, no one is the same. Everyone's ori is different, or their obatori, or their odung and ifa, to maybe their delegung, if they're olorishas. It all comes back together and makes a big ball of you. And based on that big ball comes a lot of different iwa. The conduct that you should be walking. The ewos, the prohibitions of things you should and shouldn't, cannot do, right? Should not do, and will not do. And they have different layers as they begin to kind of flow through. But like I said before, even the orishas themselves has iwa, a certain conduct. And that's the reason why we sometimes say some orishas do something, other orishas do something. We don't combine certain orishas. And there's certain meanings to it all. So that's Ifa and Iwa with this Pataki. So let's dig in even further now. So we spoke about that there's a combination of things that stamp us, that make us us. Right? In this real world, in Western civilization, when you're born, you get a birth certificate. That birth certificate on there typically has parents. Then you get a social security card. Then eventually you're going to get a name, because a name is needed for all of that to come together. And spiritually, you're the same way, right? But here's the thing. Here's your physical, right? Your physical three. Birth certificate, social security card, name. right? And on this hand, we have your ita, right? In your awofaka ikofa, if you get crowned, it's gonna be your ita and your deleguns for your olorisha ceremonies. And there's multiple, right? In Ocha, there's multiple itas that you get, right, for the delegun. And then you have certain conducts, right? Ewos, even here, right? So spiritually, you find yourself no different than a birth certificate, social security card, and name. You get a name here. You get a name. You get a social security card, which is your itas, right? But nonetheless, you still have two identifiable pieces, right? The physical world is not so different. Logically, we have something that identifies us and ties us to this world, to this Western civilization. And then we have something spiritually that now ties us, right? Spiritually to who we are, which is our guardian Orisha, which is our Ita, right? And those things together, whether it's an Ita in Awofaka Ikofa or it's an Ita in Delegun, or maybe it's both, right? Because there could be a combination of. Everything has and governs who you are. So that is your identity. So understanding who you are is very important, because what does that mean? That means you think someone's going to have my exact name, my guardian Orisha, my Ita in Ifa, meaning that there's many combinations that come out even in Itas, that it'll be almost, you're talking about 5,000 combinations just on one Ita. And I'm not giving out secrets, but to become a Babalao, you go through 3 forms of Itas, which you're talking about over, I don't know, let's say somewhere close to 300,000 combinations. That's a lot of combinations. So we got to be mindful, right, that there's probably no 2 versions of you. Okay, so now that we got that out the way and we truly understand where we're going with that, we got to learn how to conduct ourselves. So in this hand, with birth certificate, social security card, you got a name, right? You understand that you're tied to a land, right? And maybe the laws of that land are a little different. The laws of the land in, let's say, the Middle East versus the United States, Western civilization, and then you have some countries out there that even have Sharia laws, but there's 2 different sets of laws, even within the physical world, right? In this scenario. And then, let's say you jump on a plane and you try to go on vacation to Canada. Who knows? A different set of laws there. And let's say while you were traveling, you stopped somewhere and you decided to get out the airport because it was a long layover. There's laws there too. And even while you were flying on the airplane, there was laws. In the physical world, we are tied to our land. We are tied to where we're at. We have to obey the laws of the land, do we not? In the physical world, that's what we do. That's what we're accustomed to do. That's what we do. Okay, even in your own home, you have set up internal controls of how you want your home ran. So that's the physical world. All right, businesses, you work, your employment, all of it. Okay, now we have rules of the land. Now we have the laws of nature, right? That sits somewhere in between all this spiritual stuff I talked to you about, your Ida, right? Your deleguns, your Batori, right? Which is your guardian Orisha, for those of you who are tuning in recently. So now in the middle, you have the laws of nature, right? The do's and the don'ts, right? Electricity and water, we don't mix, right? The wind and water create different elements or different catastrophes in this world. Hurricanes, right? Deadly storms, right? So little things like that is what I want you guys to now understand, that there's laws there. And with those laws of those Iwas for those Orishas, it's a different conduct. So now we have Iwa, physical, Iwa for the laws of nature, And now we have to talk about the Iwa spiritually. And you have to put all that together in order to truly walk in a good conduct and in that concept of Iwa Pale. And if you don't, you find yourself like the elephant, imitating, not being yourself, taking you off your destined path so Eshu can come back and be the enforcer. Because that's called Iwa Buruku, bad conduct. And we're not looking for bad conduct. I would even go as far as telling you, look at this. We all understand that Ifa's basis is 16 maize. 16 times 16 gives you a combination of 256. Meaning that if the primary 16 fall, and I'll give you an example here. These are opeles, right? Equiles, okay? And you notice we got 4 on one side, 4 on another side. That pattern never really changes. So if on one side I have one of the 16 maize, and on the other side I have another one of the 16 maize, then that gives us combinations of, right? So now you have 16 times 16 gives you 256. Okay, so everything falls into 16s. But more importantly, also falls into elements of 4. Okay, elements of 4. So you notice that Ifa is all about the maize, which is 2, right? And we talk about the elements of 4. And then we talk about 16, right? Because 4 times 4 is 16. And off of that numerology alone, we even look at our DNA. Guys, look at the word DNA. Guys and gals out there, go in Google, type in DNA. Look at the full name itself, and you're going to be surprised. And then you're going to tell me how many letters are in there. Spoiler alert, 16 letters. Okay. Then I want you to look at what is DNA. And you're going to tell me, spoiler alert, 4 acids that create, or better yet, 4 sets of nitrogen-based, I guess we'll call them atoms, molecules. I'm not a scientist, guys, right? I learned just like everybody else, right? But there's 4 sets of these nitrogens. 4. And then when you put the 4 and the 4 together of these acids, right, then you begin to kind of see where 16 comes from. And you see within our own DNA makeup that Ifa is imprinted right into our physical being. I don't say it. The facts say it. You can Google it. Everything that I'm saying is true. The Pataki is true. The Oduns are true. I'm not trying to pull wool over anybody's eyes, but I need you guys to be a little bit more aware on your conduct. So what is good conduct? Knowledge, understanding, right? Breeds wisdom. Of course, you have to be humane. You got to be respectful. You got to be a better person, and you have to strive. It's not that you got to be perfect, because humans were never built with that perfect model. We strive to reach that spiritual bliss and that enlightenment that I can only pray that I get there one day. But even like many of you, I have my flaws that I have to kind of, overcome. And that's something that we have to do. We also have a concept that's called 5D evolution, right? A new frequency, right? A new higher consciousness. Because in this evolution, our bodies are changing. As you go through your Awofaka and Ikofa ceremonies, every time you go through an initiation, every time you accept a new energy into your life, right? Orula, Eshu, Ogun Oshosi, maybe you get crowned your Batori, maybe you get a loco, Orisha Oku, Orung Osain, whoever, you are introducing a new aspect into your life. New laws are in place now. And we need to follow those laws and see what those laws do for us and how they help guide us. That's how we begin to raise the vibration of our spiritual selves with our physical selves, so that we can find ourselves in an equal vibration in order for us to get to a higher elevation. Just food for thought there. And then the last thing I would tell you is, we got to be very mindful that even the conduct of the slaves back in the day, okay? The conduct of the slaves back in the day, as they migrated, as they created a system of divination in order to adapt to their situation, which is being slaves. We have to reflect on that synchronization and say, you know what? Look at where it's led us today. The successful incorporation of the Yoruba religion and our faith around the world. So even through the good conduct of those slaves, through their worst moments, we get to see why we say that we stand on the shoulder of giants and we have to give thanks to our ancestors. So with that said, that's Iwa and Ifa. Ifa and Iwa. All right? Because everything has balance. So I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, it's been my pleasure. Iburu, Iboya, Ibuche, everybody in Cyberland.